Hey guys, I am the Retro Room. I am a channel dedicated to retro gaming and gaming memorabilia.
Guys, I'm Ash. I run a channel called IR Video Games. Focus on reviews, discussions, just various other gaming stuff. This is Press Restart. We're a new podcast, just focused all on gaming. Just the news, topics, just various different things. Do other stuff too, like I'm talking about doing reviews, and I'm sure we'll do various playthroughs at some point, right, Retro?
Oh yeah, I'm excited about that. The idea, hopefully, is that we can bring some new gaming ideas to you guys, maybe bring a topic of controversy up to you, especially when it pertains to gaming, and maybe we'll be able to find middle ground on the things that we disagree about, which I guess, hopefully, aren't too terribly many, but at the same time, variety is the spice of life. So I guess the first thing that I would probably kick it off with is, what are we playing? And I'd ask you, what are you playing? What have you been playing this week?
I've been playing two games this week. I've been playing Cyber Shadow. I think it came out February on PS4. I did start it, but I just kind of fell off the game. Sidetracked, as I usually do with so many games that come out. I tried it again this week. I've started it and I've finally finished the game. It drove me insane. I love the game, okay? It's really fun. Soundtrack's one of the best I've ever heard, to be honest. I love that, like, retro styles. The 8-bit stuff too. It's like an NES game, isn't it? That's like its whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Gaiden and stuff. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well made. Good enemy designs and the variety. The checkpoint system made me rage. I couldn't stand it. I was just arguing at myself at the TV, just shouting. My girlfriend just kept glancing over, like, what's going on? See, I felt like it was just really poorly designed, like that part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is amazing, like it would have been a 10. I feel like you'd put you back like 3 to 4 minutes. Did you get that when you played it, or did you feel like it wasn't that long? Exaggerating here.
No, yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed. But I was comparing it maybe a little bit unfairly to another game that I love that's in the same vein, which was The Messenger.
You were going to say Messenger, yeah.
Yeah. And I love The Messenger. I think The Messenger is nearly perfectly put together. And Cyber Shadow is very close, but yeah, I definitely felt that there were some things lacking, and it did feel like it went by quick.
I've had a really good time with it, but it was going on. I just wanted it to end. And I'd end up dying, and I'd put me back 3 minutes, and I was like, oh, I can't be doing with it. And I turned it off like a bunch of times. I know this sounds really like a negative stance on the game, but I did love the game. It probably would have been my game of the year if it wasn't for that checkpoint shit. But I thought it had like a good challenge already, so I don't understand I feel like the checkpoints were just really lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like they could have. I kind of get what he was doing. It's like a tribute to the old school games, isn't it? Like, it's clearly like inspired, and that tough kind of that those games had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he went a bit overboard on that game. Did like it, and I finally finished it, so I can deleted it instantly. Right, that's gone now. I can stop worrying about it. I was getting stressed over the game, and I just wanted to get it finished.
Mm-hmm.
Because I liked it so much that I'm not going to say it again. The checkpoint system was like just ruining it for me in some ways.
Yeah, well, and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you too with the checkpoint system being wonky. But at the same time, if you cut out all of the times that you fail and then go back in the checkpoint system, like, the game honestly is very, very short. It's not that much.
That's what I mean. That's why it's almost embarrassing. Like, I remember like raging, and I was telling my girlfriend, I feel like I've just got worse at games, because I feel like I used to be really good at games like this, action platformers, and I couldn't do it, and it was really. I think that's what was bothering me, is that I was struggling with a game I don't usually struggle with. I was almost like insulted by the game.
I don't want to pull the topic too far off, but I do feel like, and it may warrant talking about in the future in depth a little bit more, but I feel like that's kind of the case with me in general. Like, I love, this is a topic for another time, of course, but I love the Super Star Wars games for the Super Nintendo. and used to.
Yeah.
I could get past. I can still get past 4 pretty easily, but 5 and 6, I could get past 6 decently easy. 5's always been challenging, but I could do it. And then now as an adult, I've struggled more with those ever. So I wonder if just getting older is also a part of that. It's like I can't do this anymore. But Cyber Shadow,
Played a bit of that game, the first Star Wars one, Episode 4.
Oh yeah.
Got that on PS5, and I played a bit of it the other day. Like, I turned it off within like 5 minutes. Like, I wasn't in the mood, man. I was just getting the shit kicked out of me. I was like, I can't play this right now. I need only one game at a time that like can't beat. It was driving me insane.
I'm gonna
feel like that's a game that I would like, so I'll go back to it at some point.
I'm gonna have to recommend and this is nothing against anyone, but if you do happen to enjoy playing the 4th one, you happen to pass it, the 5th one is just 10 times harder than anything the 4th one throws at you.
Oh no.
It's so it was rated the hardest game on the Super Nintendo.
Really?
Yes. It won the number 1 out of the 100 out of the 100 hardest games. It was number 1. So
insane.
Yeah, it's yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry I got off topic a little bit. What is the other game you've been playing this week?
So yeah, Cyber Shadow's great. If you haven't, I do recommend it. Just have more patience than me, and you'll be fine. What have I've been playing Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, the new one.
New Eidos Montreal. Still Dynamics. I can't remember who made it. One of the Tomb Raider teams. Eidos, I think. Really good. I finished it last night. Surprised me. Like, I think it would be as fun as it was, and especially judging by the trailers. Like, it literally looks like a live service to play a game when you just look at it from the trailer perspective. Like a real single player. Like, it's a lot longer than I thought. It was almost reaching a point when it had overstayed its welcome. Do you know what I mean? I did have a lot of fun with that game. It's one of my favourite games this year. Just
really.
I played. There's something really addictive about. Yeah, I didn't expect it either, man. I thought it was just going to be like throwaway. Like, oh, here's another Marvel game. What they'll throw some skins into and try transactions, and there's none of that.
Really?
Skins, but just find them in the world through searching through the different areas and stuff. Humor's really good. Like, I don't find anything funny nowadays. Like, I really don't. Found myself laughing at that game a lot, especially like Drax and forgetting his name. What's his name? Raccoon.
Oh, Rocket Raccoon.
I enjoyed them more than the versions. I do enjoy the films, Guardians films, but I actually like the versions of these characters more in this game. Seen anything of that game yet?
I was gonna ask that because I only saw the unveiling. The way that I interpreted it, which may be completely incorrect, is it kind of like a Telltale game cross some of the loose features of the Avengers game, or is it? I mean, I don't quite understand it.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a Telltale style, but you do have to make these decisions. It reminds me more of a Mass Effect kind of.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
It does tell you sometimes in the corner, like, Gamora remembered this. So I guess it does have that Telltale kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue, well written. So it's like, cause I'm not big on those kind of games. I have to be like in the right mood to play a dialogue heavy game. Dialogue in that was just well written, and the choices actually impacted certain parts of the game.
That's nice. I like that. I like it when a game has real consequence.
Yeah, you would have to have different missions. So there's one part like where either depending on the choice you make, you do a stealth mission, or there's this like blown like action fight scene. There actually is some like impact to your decisions in it. It's really fun, man, and all these 80s songs in the game and start playing when you're like in fights. It's really well made. It really surprised me. Like, I didn't think I was gonna like it much. I like the Guardians and I like Marvel. Thought I would enjoy it at the least, but I didn't expect it to be like one of my favourites of the year. It surprised me.
That's
Definitely recommend it. You're a fan of Marvel, aren't you?
I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of. I wanted to pick it up. Big things that limited me from picking it up was not understanding the style of it, and and then also I guess this shouldn't be. I shouldn't be apprehensive for this reason, but I tend to be. Is when you have a like a developer that you know doing a game genre or style that you're not familiar with them doing. And so like Eidos Montreal does. They did Tomb Raider. They did Hitman. So I know that they know those very, very well. The shooter puzzle, and then Square Enix, I think, published the game, and they're the JRPG queens, whichever. And so I was just, I don't know, I kind of saw the Telltale aspect of it, and I was like, I'm sure they do this okay. I think they did Life is Strange, the first one. And like that was pretty good, but then Deck 9 took over, so I don't know. I gotta pick it up now though. On your recommendation, I've got to pick it up.
The trailers don't do it justice. No, they don't even. I don't feel like they show you what type of game it really is.
Okay.
Anything, the combat reminds me a little bit of the new Final Fantasy remake. You control the characters that are with you, and you get them to do like special moves and stuff.
Oh, that's nice. I actually really love the 7 remake. I thought the 7 remake was really well done.
It reminds me of that a bit, but more fast-paced. You're controlling Star-Lord, like he's the only character you play. Like it is a single-player game. You only play as him.
Mm-hmm.
Control everyone else too, but it works really well, and you can like combo different moves. So you can Drax's moves, and he'll like charge at them, knock them into the air, and then Gamora can like slice them down. You can do really cool combos. You can just figure out yourself, and like it's really good. Definitely need to check it out, man.
That is awesome. I'm definitely gonna. Although there are a couple of games on my game list is starting to stack up fairly rapidly, and so I'm like, but yeah, I like the Guardians of the Galaxy, so I would definitely be interested in play. I mean, Avengers is on Xbox Game Pass now, and even though that one's kind of repetitive and I even enjoyed that just because I'm kind of a Marvel nerd. Only thing I like better is Star Wars.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I come back with is the only thing I think I'd come back that would top that for me is Star Wars, and then right under that would be DC. So it's like, ugh. So you're saying you would absolutely recommend the game? We're not giving a formal rating on it at the moment, but just a kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Guardians or Cyber Shadow, both. Give a thumbs up for both. I did like Cyber Shadow. I did like that game, but it made me rage. Yeah, definitely check out both games.
I was trying to think of the best way, because you said do them both, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to add a whole rating system here if you're just like no, just thumbs up. But both. So you definitely recommend them. Especially
Guardians. Like it's just a surprise. It's a AAA single player. And I feel like a lot of people have been asking for that stuff. All the microtransactions and multiplayer only stuff, like that's the opposite. I feel like it doesn't advertise it well. People need to check it out, 'cause it's exactly what people are asking for.
So you're telling me you're not excited for the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel that they're coming out with on PS5, published by EA?
No.
Yeah, you get, as I understand it, you start out as Star-Lord's helmet, but you can buy the rest of him and some of his team for, a few installments of $59.99.
To buy different parts of Groot each month.
Battle Pass. You buy the roots and the dirt and the pot separately, and then you can water him every month for $20 until he grows. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm trying to, I'm looking into at the same time you said that, I'm looking into it. I'd say it does look so much cooler though, even still. But now knowing, I'm excited. I want to.
Good man, definitely check it out.
I want to play it. See, so that's my thing. What I've been playing this week is probably not as, because the thing about it is I always tend to err on the side of retro. And so for me, I just finished, this is end of last week, KOTOR and Mighty Morphin and all this other stuff. So, but what am I playing? What have I been playing this past week currently that I'm still going through, still messing with, still playing? and that is one of the big ones that I've been working with is the Mafia Definitive Trilogy. It's not a lot of the trilogies and these multi-game packs that we get, and it's been this way for 10 years, or plus. You get like the Splinter Cell trilogy when it was sold on PS3. It doesn't really perform very well. It doesn't include a lot of this stuff that was platform exclusive. Back when you play Splinter Cell on the Xbox, it had a level, PlayStation 2 actually had a level, Kalina Tech, I think, that the Xbox didn't have, and you'd think in a trilogy you'd get this definitive which had all of the levels, or at least the option to play the levels segregate. And
exactly.
So a lot of trilogies are just kind of, or a lot of these components are to them are done kind of lazily, then thrown in together and then wrapped up in a bow. I don't feel like Mafia's really done. I mean, Mafia is at very least, it's at 33% completely redone, and in my opinion, that's completely worth the price that you pay, because you do get two really awesome games in addition to the completely remastered version of the first game. But I passed the first game in it. It is the entire trilogy. The first game I did it on classic difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty, just because I'm a big fan. The graphics are done very well, much in the style of kind of LA Noire. It's also around that time frame. And the game plays perfectly, although admittedly one of the most frustrating things, that car race that you'll hit in the middle, for anybody who's played, is you're probably already familiar with it, has not gotten any easier. You do have to know how to e-brake, and you have to know how to drift, and the other cars are not going to slow down for you to drift or to brake. That took me it probably took me a solid 12 hours, just that one race.
What, just the race?
Just the race. Took me probably a solid...
Holy shit.
That's
interesting.
I'm sorry?
Go on.
No, go ahead.
It's interesting that you mention a race, because I'm not that familiar with that game. I know Mafia 2 a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend's been playing Mafia, and I swear I could hear her like raging over a race. It's got to be the same thing. I remember looking over, and she's just driving, and like it looked like a race to me, so it has to be the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think...
Crazy.
There's a lot of car... They do a lot of car thises and that's, right, getting away from... But like, there's only one that I can think of. There's only one major race, and that race is what causes everybody to rage. Like, the game, it doesn't matter what... No difficulty, I'm sure, is probably easy. Like I said, I played it on Classic, but the car is made intentionally to handle like a race car, and that means the tires don't have a lot of grip. They're not super thick. Yeah. There's not a lot of traction. You have to e-brake. You have to brake. I mean, if you don't brake on the turn, you just slide right into the tires. You turn around. It's so difficult. Like I said, almost 12 hours, I think, just dumped into trying to get that race done on Classic.
Insane.
And you could ask my wife. Like, I probably tried it, I don't know, a few hundred times.
It's like me with Cyber Shadow, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just...
On one level.
Yeah, it's exactly that. The one segment. Like, right after I got out of it, I was just like, look, please let me get to a shooting part. Because if I get to a shooting part, like, at very least, if I have to try it over several times, I will be able to vent this aggression.
Yeah.
But anyway, the first game, like I said, if you get it, when it came out, it was $60. Graphics on the first one have been completely redone. They're done in GTA 5. I think the same engine that did GTA 5. If not, they were at least done in the same that did LA Noire. But I'm pretty sure it's GTA 5's engine. They look great. Everything handles well. The controls are fluid. That race is annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And obviously, I did choose it on a harder difficulty, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. So I won't detract much for that. But you get that, you buy that. You also get the second game, which is supposed to have been remastered. I've started it over. It's not the same type of remaster as the first game, where they've done it from the ground up. Yeah, that one's...
They put more effort into the first one, didn't they?
Oh yeah. But the second one still looks really good. It's just more about the upscaling of, like, they're upscaling their previous game, which I have the collector's edition of Mafia 2 with the steelbook and everything, and like that game as it was when it came out, in my opinion, was worth the money. But yeah, this new one, they put effort into the first one, ton of effort. The second one was great, and then the third one already looked really good. Also using the GTA engine, same engine as GTA 5. To be honest, that one's super fun already. So you get all of those, you get all three of those games remastered. You get them, with all their DLCs and respective, this and that's. And for me, if I don't know, like I said, if we're doing thumbs up, thumbs down, but for me, that one's a thumbs up. It is absolutely worth it to check out, I think.
One's your favourite out of the three?
Probably 1, honestly. I like 3 quite a bit. 2 has my favorite character. I like Vito. But 1's overall story, I like there's something about that story that felt real classic Godfather-y and does a really good job. So I think 1 overall is my favorite, but Vito is my favorite character of the 3 protagonists. Although I do like Lincoln, and not just because he's the guy that plays Charles in Red Dead Redemption 2, which is also one of my favorite characters. Really? Yeah, same voice actor.
Oh,
yeah, I love Charles. So like I kind of brought some of the bias of loving Charles to loving Lincoln as well. And I know they didn't come out in that order, but I didn't realize it until I played Red Dead, and then I was like, oh, Charles is so awesome. And then I came back and I was like, that's the same guy that plays Charles. Oh, now I like Lincoln even better. So, honestly though, but besides that, it's all been retro. It's all been things that you guys already know about. But specifically, if I had to pick out of my the retro pot that I'm, and this isn't really super retro, but it is retro. It is retro. I've been playing a lot of Castlevania Collection, and that's the new one. So the first one came with 6 games or 7 games, and then they came up with the second one about a month ago, and it's all the GBA games with Dracula X, and of course I'm a huge Castlevania fan, and it was $20, and for $20 you get all 3 GBA games with options, envelope, upscale, all that kind of good stuff, and you get Dracula X, which is a decently rare game. And you really are only when you break that up for $20, you're paying $5 per game, which each of those games are worth more than that. So I have a blast with that. I don't think there needs to be a lot of fanfare for that one. That's an easy just thumbs up. Those are great games.
Never played them. The Game Boy ones.
Oh, you there's a part of me that died. You've killed.
I've played like the old ones. I love the originals. Never played the Game Boy ones.
Do you have
Keep looking at that on the store, the collection, but I haven't bought it yet.
Do you have the? I was gonna say, do you have the first collection?
Yeah. I've never played the Game Boy games.
It's I mean, I don't want to, like I said yet again, I don't want to go too into the weeds, but like the first ones are great, right? But it's simple platforming and skill whip, and then but the Game Boy Advance era is kind of where they came into. I won't say that. That's not true. Have you played? Let me ask this: have you played Symphony of the Night?
Never finished it though.
I've
played it.
Did you enjoy it at least?
It's great. I want to play it again and actually complete it.
Okay, so the third game of the Game Boy Advanced game, which is Aria of Sorrow, as well as the DS game, Order of Ecclesia, Portrait of Ruin, Dawn of Sorrow, all take super heavy inspiration from Symphony, and they have the inventory and the multi-armor and the multi-weapons, and of course the DS games are even a little bit more complicated. They have like secret endings, multiple endings and such, so like they definitely take. Castlevania's got 42 games I think total in the franchise. Like there are a lot of hits, several misses. These games, the Game Boy Advance ones and the DS games. I'm just letting you know for the future. The DS ones aren't included in this package, but they are on the heavy win side of things.
Let's check them out. Have you played the Bloodstained games?
Oh, I love the Bloodstained games.
Have you played all of them? There's 3, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. There are the two that are done in the style of Castlevania 3, which are the Circle of the Moons, and then Ritual of the Night, which is Symphony of the Night style.
It's literally the same, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, so the story goes that Koji Igarashi, is that how you say it? Koji? Yeah. I'm gonna say, someone may correct me. I think it's Koji Igarashi. I can't remember, but anyway, he was the one that designed Symphony. He's the one that took it in the direction of, you know.
Yeah.
And apparently he wanted to do stuff with it, but Konami was more interested in pachinko machines with Castlevania on it, so they wouldn't let him. So he's
of course
like,
they are, sadly.
Yeah, so he was like, well, Dracula, or not Dracula, vampires and vampire bats and Medusas and Bowers and all these fictitious characters, these mythical beasts are, no one owns them. You can't own, or you can, but no one does. Medusa or the Gorgon sisters. So I'm just gonna use them again, and then instead of Dracula, I'll just make my own character. Even though Dracula, he could still technically have used Dracula. He kind of does actually. He makes himself into. You can buy it. It's a DLC.
Seeing that, yeah.
You saw that, the
cool.
Koji's backpack.
Good one.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a guy who made Mega Man, then tried to do Mighty Number 9. Obviously, it didn't work out as well.
Yeah.
If you've played that game.
Oh, yeah.
But it's kind of a similar situation, isn't it? How he left and then he basically made a new Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of that. The same thing.
It's like they started at the same point on a road. They were, shoulder to shoulder, and then they walked in opposite directions.
Yeah.
So, I've got Mighty Number 9 for the Wii U, and it's a train wreck. So.
Totally.
But yeah, so I guess one of the things that we talked about too is we were talking about what we were playing, but I guess the question I'll ask to you is we were also talking about, like, it seems like we have similar taste in games, which I kind of expected to some extent. I expect we'll disagree on some parts, and I guess this will probably be one of the parts where we will find that out. But kind of moving from the games that we are enjoying, what do you think about some of these, like some of the news that's coming up for some of these new games? Like, I know the KOTOR remake's been making a big stir. Like, what gaming news has got you excited? What gaming news are you dreading? Like, what's coming up that really is bothering you?
One thing today about, have you seen the GTA trilogy remasters?
I saw the trailer, but I have not paid them maybe the proper time they need.
It just looks like a lazy, just cash grab. And some of the screenshots, I've been trying to find them, but I can't find them to send you. They are terrible. I don't know what's happened. Have you not seen any of these screenshots for these trilogy?
No, I don't think so. I just saw the trailer. Like I was saying with Mafia, like Mafia did a good job, but anytime you hear trilogy, it's like, oh god, it's gonna be. I mean, Mass Effect trilogy was good, I guess, but yeah, I haven't seen.
This definitely isn't the Mafia situation. This GTA one, it's so lazy. And Rockstar, how much money have those guys got? No, it's not all just money, but they could have put much more effort into this. It just looks bad. But the characters look worse than the PS2 versions.
They're owned by Take-Two, though. Take-Two's the biggest game company out there, right? Monetarily? Okay. I gotta take a look at this now.
Gotta try and find. I'm trying to find the screenshots of there's like these individual characters. They just look like something out of Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares is a game that's
bad.
made to look contortionistic and. Okay, I got.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you know the guy with the big long arms in Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
One of the characters reminds me of him. On a bike, and he's got these gangly arms.
Like end of RoboCop, kind of.
Yeah.
Out the window type.
I feel like they just a bit of like. I don't know the details, but I feel like they just put a new coat on the games, a bit of shine. It's almost just put a magnifying glass on how bad they look.
Did that one come?
Some of the gameplay I've been watching just really lazy. I'm disappointed because I was really looking forward to playing 3 and Vice City.
Did
love those games.
I was gonna say, did that one come out on the? No worries. Did that one come out on the Switch?
Trilogy.
Yes.
The Switch too.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Have you found some?
I found one, and it's bad enough. I mean, I haven't found a ton of them, but like, hold on here, let me. It's.
I don't know if you could like put these in later, but that would be really funny.
I think I'm gonna do. I gotta do this. And I can't think of the character. I have not played any of the GTA or the. Excuse me. I'm not a humongous GTA fan. This is probably not the most popular. I really had a falling out when 4 came out. I really didn't like 4. 5's pretty good.
I'm the same.
So I haven't played San Andreas or Vice City or that in a long time. But it's a picture of someone in a bandana. These are on the left. It's the original graphics. Someone's in a bandana, number 88 jersey. You know, face is definitely what you would expect to see on a PS2. You know, kind of flat, kind of...
Laughing because I know what it looks like.
You know,
it's so bad.
The second one, it's just... It's supposed to be the same character. The jersey's completely washed out. Their head is just a complete egg. There's nothing else. It looks like something... It looks like they switched from the GTA San Andreas engine to, like, the Bully engine, but, like, Bully for the Wii. Which... Granted, best version of that game in my opinion, but goodness, like, oh my gosh, how do you sell this for $60?
Oh, I think I might have found them. I've got to send you these somehow.
Okay, I've got, yeah, I mean, if you can send them through I'll take a look, because this is just, oh my gosh. I think I mean, I guess a positive is I think it's free on, I don't know if the whole trilogy is, but I think at least the definitive edition of one of the games, maybe it's San Andreas, I believe is on Game Pass for free right now. So I'll get to try it and I don't have to spend any money on it.
I've linked you to his post on Twitter, so if you can just look at those pictures,
okay,
I'm sure you'll be able to put them in so you'll listening can see what we're talking about. These are emanations.
Okay, let me see if I can
see if you've received that. I just sent it you through our
I don't think I've gotten it yet, but I'll take a peek over here. Maybe I have. No, it hasn't made its way through. Okay. Well, yeah, they're just... I'm sorry?
Not to delay or anything, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Show.
No, that's all right. No, worst comes to worst, I mean, I can still just put these straight up, so that's not a problem. Especially the one that I like.
Keep taking a look at your notifications, and it should have like linked you to the pictures, basically.
Yeah, when it pops up, I'll I'll definitely take a look at those really quickly. And
it just seems so lazy, and I don't understand. It just seems like a cash grab. Like I don't. But the thing that's really annoying me, speaking of all the new stuff, sorry to just go off on one.
Go for it.
They've removed regional games. So I'm not familiar with like PC or Xbox. I'm familiar with PlayStation and stuff. On the PS Store, you could buy GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas on their own, like the individual PS2 versions.
Right.
They're gone. They've removed those. Oh, this is the only way you can play them now on like current gen, at least for me, on like PlayStation.
Oof.
I think that's just really shitty. Like
that's dirty.
Like it shows that they know it's not good.
So,
I mean,
but they're not. They're unless you purchased all of the equipment or still have your old equipment, you can't play. You have to buy the trilogy.
They've literally delisted the original games off the store. You can't buy them now. You can only buy the masters. I've heard they've doing some shady stuff with mods too. Like they've been removing mods on PC.
Why would
like
you
saying you can't mod this or mod that because the mods look better?
Yeah.
Why they're doing it, isn't it? It's shady.
That's why. See, that's why I like Bethesda. I mean, there's some stuff I don't really like about them as well. But like Bethesda, one of the things I liked about them back when Skyrim was a little bit more fresh. I mean, granted, now we just passed the 10-year anniversary not long ago for Skyrim, if you can believe that. But
crazy.
I know. I just like it seems like I ran a GameStop back then, so it seems like just yesterday I was handing these gigantic boxes with Alduin statues out, and then now, but people were doing mods that had like the skyboxes were improved and all this other stuff, and then now if you buy the definitive edition on, and I'm sure it's the same situation with PS4, PS5, but if you buy it on Xbox One X or Xbox Series S or Series X, you actually, like, even on the Xbox, there are modding communities that you can go, and Bethesda links you so you can actually mod the game on your Xbox. To have,
like, really cool.
Oh yeah, there's I like that a lot. Like they have like lightsabers and invulnerability and different skins, and it's really cool. So
I don't see why devs aren't okay with that. I just feel like it shows that they know their remasters aren't very good. They're willing to like stop people from getting better versions or doing something.
Well, or giving a frame of reference for those who are buying, GTA San Andreas brand new. They took away your frame of reference, so you don't know what they were like. So you're like, okay, this looks awful, but I guess it's always looked that awful. It was on the PS2, and I don't have a PS2. Because
that's
yeah.
The thing. Like, people are enjoying them, and that's fine. Enjoy whatever. It's not the people who are enjoying them that bother me. It's Rockstar or Take-Two, whoever's in charge of all this shit they're doing, moving games and stuff. It's just so sleazy. They're like billionaires.
Oh yeah.
They just put this lazy remaster. It's literally called the Definitive Edition, and it's got cut content. Is it a Definitive Edition?
Definitive Edition, no hot coffee mode.
Oh, fucking hell. Here's the Definitive Edition with fucking songs removed. Like, there's dialogue cut in case it offends someone because it's 2021. Crazy. There's just so much stuff they've changed, and they've got the balls to call it that and then charge for like $60 or however much it is.
Yeah, I want to take a look at this too, just really quickly. So
Putting the screenshots, is that it?
No, I haven't gotten that yet, sadly. But I want to look at this really quickly in terms of just biggest gaming companies. I don't need
Big two or a big one.
That's what I was thinking. So I was thinking they're probably going to be up here. Maybe I'm wrong, but Take-Two Interactive, and they're worth about 5. So they have 5 in, at least the last time they were polled, they have $5 billion in total assets. So they didn't have. You're telling me that their R&D department didn't have enough research to develop a game that was, actually an upgrade from the previous version? Good lord.
I could find the weather effects too, because when it rains in the new trilogy, the lazy trilogy, it's literally giving people headaches.
Really?
It looks so bad, and it's like hard to look at and hard to see. I don't know like exactly because I haven't played it for myself, but I'm hearing from a lot of people it's just really just lazy. I wish I could find it. Rain effects just look terrible.
Oh, I see.
What were you thinking making this?
I see the pictures. So I'm just seeing what oh, son of a gun, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Okay, I see what's going on. Yet again, I'm reading this, so it's probably not. It's not a first-hand account, but it looks like for the rain, instead of actually doing, rain's not a hard effect, but I guess what they did is they just decided to make basically white dashes in the screen, and then whenever it hits the ground, white dots where the rain hits, and so apparently it can rain so hard that it can actually obscure your ability to see in the game beyond CJ.
Yeah.
So you can't even see where you're going or what you're doing, which I guess is to some extent realistic, but not that's not the part you want realistic in a game. You want the driving to be cool.
Whose fault is it? Because I don't think Rockstar made this remaster. Then surely they're overlooking it because it's their games. But then is it also Take-Two because they're overlooking them? Who's at fault for how bad this is?
I mean, This probably goes on the unpopular opinion, but it's not a gaming opinion per se. But my unpopular opinion is the more money you make, the more blame you can afford to take. So yeah, I feel like that goes all the way up the chain. The devs, the people that were working on it, which I wonder, did they do the outsource thing? Did they outsource it? Do you know?
That's what I mean. I'm not sure. That's why I'm blaming Rockstar here, but I don't even know if they're involved in any way.
Oh, I see.
That someone else is working on it. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like they should be overlooking it. Rockstar on the games, I'm not sure if they made it or if someone else made it.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Rockstar Games published it, but it was developed by a different one.
Okay.
It looks like that the developer was Grove Street Games, and they were the
Grove Street Games.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a developer.
Yes, they are a developer, and they are most popular for developing the mobile versions of Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, you telling me they're called Grove Street Games and they can't even get San Andreas right?
I don't know.
That's literally in the game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks like they did do the PS3 and 360 versions of San Andreas, which were decent. I mean, that's the versions that you would have gotten before the definitive on the new systems anyway.
Yeah. I don't want to crucify the remasters. I've heard the gameplay's not too bad, and the shooting mechanics have been improved a lot. If you remember the old shooting mechanics, but they were terrible even back then.
Oh yeah, the control scheme used to be.
But they've improved that and get it more of a GTA 5 kind of feel. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Plays a little bit more like GTA. So at least they've done something, I guess. But I don't want to just completely crucify them. They've done some gameplay elements, which is the most important part to me. Just the fact that they've had the balls to call it a remaster and a definitive edition. Just looks like that, and there's literally stuff taken out of the games.
Yeah, so
it's lazy.
The give and take of it is they've given you better controls, but the take is they've taken your ability to see half of the screen away.
They've taken away your eyeballs.
Exactly. They've made the control. It's literally the equivalent of a console developer making a controller that controls perfectly and then cutting off your thumbs. It's that.
I feel like because it's Rockstar too, I do feel like they just get a pass.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the times I feel like, oh, it's Rockstar, the GTA guys. As soon as they make GTA 6, all will be forgiven. I don't think it's ever going to happen because they're stuck on GTA 5 for the next 10 years. Well, getting constant upgrades and online expansions and stuff.
Well, we're never going to see Elder Scrolls 6 either. So.
Jesus, that's even further away, I think.
We've already waited 10 years. I mean, at this point, I can wait till I'm 60. But
heard in an interview.
I'm sorry.
Howard the other day. Oh, you know Todd Howard.
Oh yeah.
I heard in an interview the other day that he said they've got a rough. I might be wrong here, so I'm sure he said they've got a rough outline or a page for the next Fallout. That's all they've got for that game.
Okay.
1 page, so that's even further away.
I mean,
that's years.
Has it taken you? You've got a rough outline for Fallout. What did it do? Take you 5 years to sharpen your pencil? What's going on? This is ridiculous. That's the thing he showed when it was 4 years ago. I think 3-4 years ago when he did the thing before Microsoft had purchased him. They did the pre-rendered teaser of random generic God knows what area in Cyrodiil, and they were like, "Ha!" And then people were like, "That means 6 is coming," and I was like, "That doesn't mean he didn't. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing."
There will be another remaster of Skyrim before 6 comes out. Prediction.
Have you?
There'll be another release of Skyrim before 6 comes out.
Have you seen? That's true. Some friends of mine actually sent that message yesterday. They said, "Hey, or not yesterday, but a couple days ago," and they said, "Hey, do you know that Skyrim is just turned 10 years old? Have they come out with the 10th anniversary edition yet?" Yeah. Well, I mean, they came out with a definitive edition. Like Oblivion did a really cool thing, right? Oblivion came out in 2006. I love Oblivion, by the way. It's my favorite of the Elder Scrolls, and I've played them since Arena. And they did theirs, and then they had the Game of the Year edition, which had the DLC, Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles. And then they did a 10-year anniversary edition, and it had everything in there. It came with some actual physical collectibles, and it also came with a steel bookcase, right? So it was like, hey, and it wasn't full price either. So it was like, all right, you had the original chance to buy the game, and then the DLCs you could buy separate. And then next you could buy the game and the DLCs together if you didn't buy them before, right? And that came out several years later. And then at the end it was like, okay, for those few of you, and at that time Skyrim's already coming out anyway, so you're getting excited. It's more about, hey, we were releasing the 10-year anniversary or whatever because you've played Skyrim and maybe you didn't play Oblivion. I thought that was a cool idea. I thought that was okay. It's 3 iterations of a game. It's not the 50 that Street Fighter and Skyrim have to come out with.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I just, I have my definitive Skyrim. Skyrim's fine. I'll still play Oblivion.
I don't want to sound like a hypocrite either, like complaining about Skyrim re-releasing and then Resident Evil 4 is available everywhere and I'll just buy it again. Well, it depends on your game, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
That's true. That's KOTOR. Speaking of that, KOTOR just came out, or KOTOR for Switch just came out, and I'm.
It was going to be on PlayStation. It's not easy.
I don't think so. Well, it might. I don't know. I don't think so. I know they said Switch. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe they're rolling it out one at a time.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. It does. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be. Because the
remake is literally going to be an exclusive for PlayStation, isn't it? Or at least timed.
Yeah, I think
it's coming out.
Yeah, and that's what I was going. Yeah, I own KOTOR in every facet, not every facet, in every way it can be owned. I have physical copies, digital on Xbox. I'm going to get it on the Switch, and then the remake says, "Oh, you need to buy a whole other console." I don't have a PS5 yet, so I'm like, they're still impossible to find.
Crazy to me how the original was an Xbox exclusive, wasn't he?
Xbox and PC, yes.
Crazy how it was Xbox exclusive and the remake's not even going to be on there. It's so weird. Paid for it, haven't they, Sony? That's obviously what's happened.
And I appreciate it. That's some really nice salt you've just rubbed into my wounds. I really like this.
I agree with you that it's bad.
That's kind of
sitting over here like stroking my PS5 and like, oh, what a shame.
That sucks. Well, I don't want to.
Oh no!
If anybody has seen the South Park episode where they call people out, and it's like a communications telecom company, and the telecom company is, let's say, overexcited about not being able to help the customer. If you've never seen it, just that snippet, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Was, oh, that's such a shame for you. I hate that. And you're just sitting there.
But genuinely, that's shitty. It's crazy that it's not on Xbox.
Well, and I guess that brings me to because we're talking current gaming news. Like KOTOR is my apps. I've gone public on many occasions on many platforms saying KOTOR is my favorite game of all time. I love the way it plays. I play it through at least once a year, but usually more often than that. I have it on my cell phone. I had an Apple phone, iPhone. I bought it on iPhone. I'm not a big fan of iPhone. I switched over to an Android. I actually have a Star Wars limited edition Android, and I'm pretty nerdy when it comes to Star Wars. But I bought that. I bought it for that. I have 2 copies on Xbox hard copy. I have the digital version on Xbox. Anything that, One X, Series X, whatever, all those kind of flow together. Yeah. I have it on PC on disc, and I also have it on PC on digital. I own it in every facet, in every way, not facet, goodness. And I'm gonna buy it on Switch. And then the remake comes out. And I cannot, unless something drastically changes from now until the time that the remake comes out, which, by the way, the PS5 has been out for almost a year now, and I still can't buy one. I don't know, but that frustrates me. But I'm a little bit, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit leery about KOTOR's remake too. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love the books. I own almost all of the books. I've read most of them. I have not read the newest Thrawn one that just came out, the newest Ascendancy. I have every game I could get my hand on when it came to it, and that includes the esoteric episode 1 Spore that they kind of had, which was you put your own character, it's like The Sims meets Spore, make your character, make your own thing. I even have those.
Sorry to cut you off. What was the fighting game? Star Wars fighting game.
Are you talking about the new unofficial one that's really good, or are you talking about the old not so good one that came out on PS1?
There's a new one.
So yeah, a matter of fact, I highly recommend it. If you get a chance, if anyone gets a chance, you have a decent PC. It doesn't have to be super good, just a decent PC, something that
I don't have a PC.
You have a laptop.
A bad laptop.
It might, I don't know, but it's the newer one that's come out. It's not official, it's a fan project, but it's super awesome. It's called Force Combat, and it plays kind of plays like Tekken, but not 3D. Street Fighter, it's 2D, But you get some really cool, like, and you get to be characters from all walks of the Star Wars like time. You can be Darth Malgus. For people who aren't familiar, Darth Malgus is the main antagonist of Star Wars: The Old Republic, the main story. And he's a tank. He's not like Darth Vader. Like, Darth Vader's a big guy, but Malgus is huge. Like, I think Vader's like 6'4" in armor. Malgus is like 6'8", 6'9", without anything making him bigger. He's taken a mountain to the face. He's taken a rocket or a grenade to the face.
Mounted to the face.
Yeah, literally. He was. If you get a chance, oh my God, have you ever watched any of the Star Wars: The Old Republic official trailers?
Probably at some point, but not that I can remember.
I think Game Trailers or GameSpot, one of them is releasing them in 4K. They were really well done. They were like these high definition CGI rendered. I think there are 4 of them, and they're so good. Like, I wish they'd make a Star Wars movie or at least an episodic something in this art form. But yeah, he ends up taking Satele Shan, the Jedi Grandmaster at the time. She force pushes him into a mountain and crumbles that mountain on top of him, and he takes it, gets back up, and is like, all right, what else you got? You know, he's pretty, like, he is like, if he had no force power, no Sith training, he would be dangerous to anybody, Jedi or not. He's one of my favorites, but you get to play as him, you get to play as Vader, you get to play as my absolute favorite of all time, which is Darth Revan, who's not a very physically imposing man, but a very powerful force wielder. Luke Skywalker and Leia, and I think they got Galen Merrick.
Look at this fighting game right now.
Are you seeing it?
I want to play it.
It looks pretty good, yeah?
It looks fine. I wanted a Soul Calibur, the guys who made Soul Calibur. I want them to make a Star Wars fighting game.
Yes. I would love
They
that.
had the guest characters, didn't they? If you remember in Soul Calibur 4,
Mm-hmm.
they were like Yoda, Vader, the guy, Force.
Galen Merrick, yeah.
Name.
I'm sorry?
His name, I can't remember who the third character was.
Yeah, they call him Starkiller, but his name is Galen
There you
Merrick.
go, that's it. Yeah, that's it, correct.
Yeah, that's
Imagine how good that would be.
it'd be
They're
so
like
good.
Soul Calibur people, a fighting game right now.
Well, I'm a weird guy too when it comes to especially Soul Calibur, because I love Soul Calibur because it lets you remap your controls, and I'm that guy that remaps his attack to the triggers, heavy attack right trigger and fast attack left trigger.
Okay.
Because I like to feel like to me that's the most substantial feeling swing, just to pull that trigger super hard and feel that swing. And I would play Vader. I would play Yoda, and later I'd play Vader. I got one of those things that let you plug your. I wasn't a huge fan of the PS3 controller, so I would plug in my like the little thing that makes your Xbox 360 controller work on a PlayStation 3, and I'd play as Vader. That'd be such a good thing. But Force Combat, like I said, so it's free.
Looks fun.
Yeah, it's free. It's a fan project. They've put some TLC into it. The original one that came out, the fighter, was Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasi. That's a PS1 game. I'll play it.
That's the one I was referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
Game.
That one's. I'm gonna play. I have to play. I'm gonna play that one on the channel sometime, just for the fun of it, just because it is.
Yeah, man, that would be fun. You should.
But like, anyway, I think the thing about it is, like, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I'm nerding out over everything, and so then the KOTOR remake. This is where I'm a little bit not as excited. Is KOTOR? If they were doing KOTOR in the way that they did, yet again, going back to Mafia 1, right? And they upgraded all of the graphics, and they, okay, well, we want to do or Final Fantasy VII remake. We want to change the graphics up to make them look really good, add a couple of options that weren't available before, maybe some story tidbits, re-voice act it if we need to. And then we want to maybe change the control style so you have an option to play it like a hack and slash. Because some people just didn't really like the D&D turn-based thing. They were like, I don't want to do that. I want to push a button and hit a person. Okay. But this is a full remake. They're going to remake it so that the characters are within the new canon, because they decanonized most of the characters. Revan is canon, according to the Clone Wars, but everyone else has pretty well been decanonized. So they're remaking it so that it'll be in line with the current Star Wars canon and the vision of the current Star Wars canon moving forward. The problem with it, and it may not be a problem, but just in my eyes, maybe people are taking it too seriously, is the person that got it is not a super die-hard Star Wars fan. They don't really care about Star Wars. They don't like Star Wars. They don't particularly seem to share the same interest in what little Star Wars they do know or like with the fans. And she's the head of the project. And I mean, that's fine. Like, she can do what she wants to do. She's got the position. I'm going to respect that she can do that. But I am super worried that she's going to try and push it in a direction that is not fan-centric. And because of that, I feel like a big portion of us that have been playing this game for literally a decade are just going to be completely disenfranchised when it comes out and say, no, we have no place in this. We don't understand where we belong in this. We don't understand where the fandom belongs within this. We're just going to have to move on to something else, hope the next movie's good. So, or the anime, which is actually pretty cool.
Lead writer, like, is she in charge?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's and you saw. I don't know if you've seen it, but like she's made a bunch of intentionally controversial Twitter posts.
Yeah, that's my issue with all this. It's like they just do it on purpose, and then you wonder why people have a backlash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like for me personally, I would, even if I had my own vision, right? This is not a holier than thou piece of things, but I feel like if you're asking, or if anyone is asking or wants to listen to the way that I would do it, like, you have a bunch of fans, and let's say you don't agree with the way the fans are going to go. I don't think you should still try to alienate them. I think my response would be, hey guys, I've got a vision in mind. I'm going to work my hardest to make it something good and fun and enjoyable. And yeah, there's going to be a good chance that people aren't going to like it. Maybe even diehard fans aren't going to care for it. But I'm going to give it a shot and try it and see, if it's worthwhile or not. But her thing is, like, somebody posts it and she's like, 8's the best. Well, 8 was the most controversial. And, don't you like the original trilogy? No, I don't like the original trilogy. Okay, well, but a lot of fans do like the original trilogy. Some fans like all 9 films. Some, like me, don't really care for the last 3. We don't hate them. We just don't care for them as Star Wars films, and we like the first 6. But she just tries to kind of push everyone around. Oh, nope, 8's the best one. This is okay. And there's also a point where you getting a rise out of somebody, that makes sense. Like, you're okay, I'm just trying to be funny and get a rise out of someone and then come back and say kidding. She doesn't. She continues to push those same buttons against that same demographic. So I'm just like, she doesn't know how to, in my opinion, she didn't know how to draw lines with where it's okay to joke and where it's okay, where it's where you should be putting the minds of the people that are going to be purchasing this at ease. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned. I want to get it. I want to buy it. I want to play it. I need a PS5 first, but I'm definitely concerned.
Is the team behind the remake? Do you know?
I don't. Let me take a look. I wanted to say it was going to be Obsidian, which who did 2, but I could be wrong. That may not.
Obsidian are now owned by Xbox, aren't they?
Yes. No.
I'd be shocked if that.
Let's see. It's Aspire is doing it.
Just clicked Obsidian and the rock has come up. Need to put developer.
Obsidian
about rocks now.
Obsidian's a good company too. No, it looks like Aspire is gonna try.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Make now. Something else.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if. Well, that's not. Yeah, it looks like Aspire Media is doing it. Which Aspire, of course, that's the thing. I like Aspire. Like, they're the ones. I don't know what Aspire. I'm not sure what Aspire's standalone stuff looks like yet. I guess we'll see that. But like they did. They've done most of this. They've done a ton of the Star Wars upscales and remakes. They did KOTOR for the Switch, and they did Jedi Outcast.
Ton of ports too. I'm looking there.
Which one?
Done a lot of ports. So they've
yes.
ported a lot of games like for years.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they did
Nirvana, Sims, Spider-Man.
They're the reason I played a little bit on my channel just because I think I was having technical difficulties, or maybe I was jumping. No, I was playing May the 4th be with you. So during the 4th of May this year, and they did it like you can see on my channel if you get a chance. Not trying to be a shameless plug, but anyway, if you get.
Go away.
Well, I might save that for the end. I don't want to plug in the middle, but like
right now.
Just this very minute. Go. There's another channel also. No, but they did it like Jedi Outcast is another one of my top Star Wars games, and they did a great job of making it look pretty, and it controls pretty well. It's a little loosey-goosey for my taste. I have to dial down the sensitivity a bit, but it's good. I don't know. I'm just like that's my concern. I want KOTOR remake. Obviously, I want KOTOR's remake to succeed, and I want to believe that she's got the best things, and I want to believe that she's just treating this particular aspect of it poorly, and that she's really going to do a great job. So that's where I'm standing right now. But I am still, the back of my mind, very concerned that she's going to take these same kind of beliefs, to development.
And I'm looking at these guys still, and they have worked, like you said, worked on a lot of Star Wars stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be much worry with those guys making the actual game. I think it's the writing that's going to be the worry.
Well,
the direction she takes it in. Maybe we don't know, dude.
Like I don't want to go too far on the assumptions either, but like I feel like that Disney's and Star Wars, their big push has been strong diversity characters, right? Strong character diversity and strong characters in minority demographics, right? So for like 8, 9, 10, it's for 8, 9, 10. For 7, 8, 9, it's Rey. And which Rey I don't think was a great character. I think Daisy Ridley did a great job, and I think she could have been a great character. I just think the writing was really flat. Although I think Kylo was actually decently well developed. He's kind of dynamic, and he makes mistakes and all these other things. KOTOR, I think, really kind of already had a super jump on that. For anybody who's played the game or knows about it, Bastila, who is kind of like, you can be a female character if you want, or a male, doesn't matter. But Bastila Shan is a required NPC. She's not even NPC. She's you can play as her if you want to, but she is not the main character. Is what I mean to say. And she's super, like, she has a force power. In the old one, she has a force power nobody else really has. And she can do all this awesome stuff, and she's flawed. She gets a little bit too ahead of herself sometimes. She thinks she's in charge when she's not, and she tries to take charge when she's not. But like when the chips are down, she always delivers. She's an awesome fighter. She's a voice of reason. She's got awesome, powers. Like, you don't really have to rewrite it to make a super awesome, strong female character right there. But I feel like that's kind of the direction, is they want to kind of wrap this inclusivity thing in, and I think that's fine. I think you want to include people, but like, don't, I don't know. That's my concern. I think it's going to be kind of a more, and I'm putting this in quotes, PC version, whereas I think
100%.
Yeah, I don't think that Star Wars I don't think Star Wars has ever been a non-PC franchise. I think that's probably one of the more PC franchises. There's a lot of I mean, like, Star Wars is super PC. There's so much inclusion. Half of the crew isn't even human. Like, half of your people are
yeah.
Like Chewbacca, they got a Wookiee. What other movie you know about got a Wookiee?
Oh yeah, that's true.
You've got the Wookiees, you've got the Ewoks, you've got Yoda, and whatever kind of alien he is. If you're looking for human diversity, you've got Leia, you've got Padme. Padme, by the way, who's super awesome. The more you look in the Clone Wars, she's super, super awesome. But you've got Depu, and the other people that look straight at the movies. Like, there's so many good characters also in the extended lore, like Depu Billaba, female Jedi Master, super awesome. Faye Coven was, I think, Yoda's teacher. Female Cathar, which is a kind of half cat, half humanoid woman, like Jedi Master. Like, there's so many really great characters, and they're so diverse, and they're not trying to be diverse. They're just good characters that happen to be diverse. I love that. So, I don't know.
Some good news for you. Well, maybe.
He says,
reading, not even like being sarcastic. This new remake is apparently also going to be on PC.
Okay, I can do that.
As it's being developed for PC and PlayStation 5, and then it will be other platforms like later on.
Okay,
you might be able to play.
Yeah, I could deal with that. I could. So long as they don't make it so ridiculous. I mean, my PC's decent, but like, I thought you were gonna be like, some good news for you. You'll never get a PS5. Just be like,
some good news for you. She's ruined the whole story.
Yeah, she leaked the story. It's awful. Also, you can't afford a PS5 to see if what I'm telling you is true. I mean, everything's bad. The PS5's still around here. The cheapest one I could find used is still like $1,100.
Insane. The same thing's happening over here as on with PS5s, but also with the Series X. I've been looking for one of those, and I can't find them over here. Series X.
We got lucky on our Series X, I feel like, too. I mean, like, what's going on with these console developers? You guys knew these were going to be decent hits because everybody's locked up. That's what they're doing, is playing video games. We've
been to get a Series S, just 'cause I really want to play the new Halo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I don't know if to get one of those or not.
I think we discussed, or I don't know if you did or didn't. I think we kind of discussed in brevity, but Series S is fine. Like, it's a great console. If you're really interested in some of the, like, if you're really interested in more or less what's under the hood but isn't yet being utilized, really, Series X is fine. But the Series S, like 4K, in most cases 2K in several, if not, like it's worth it. The Series S wasn't even available where we actually came into my wife and I were in a Walmart and they just happened to have one and we said, can we buy it? And they said, sure. And so we did. And that was we weren't even looking for it. We were going to get groceries and we walked by the game section because we were trying to see if there was any just kind of fun little bargain bin, and then we saw that there and it was like, all right, we got to snatch it up. And we love it. It's awesome.
Your primary console?
I'm sorry?
That your primary console that you play the most, or do you play most things on PC?
That's a tricky question to ask me. That's probably the console we play together the most. But honestly, for me, I'm retro, so 90% of the time I'm playing like Super Nintendo. I think that's probably my most played console, is Super Nintendo.
Of the Mini? Brought out.
Huh?
Of the Mini that they out a few years back.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The NES Mini.
I've got a mini. I need to get. There are a few more I need to get, but yeah, I have the Mini and I have the NES, the SNES, the Sega Genesis, and the PlayStation 1 minis. I want the TG16.
The PS1 Mini was rough. Is that true?
Oh gosh, it's awful. It's
yeah, that's this.
You can buy a I'm not promoting anything. I want to very, very clearly say this, so hopefully YouTube does not try and strike this. I am not promoting the use of drugs, and I am not naming what I'm about to name are not drugs.
Whatever.
So you can actually buy from China. You can buy these USB flash drives, and they're called crack, meth, and weed. That's what they're called. I'm not advocating for the use of the drugs that those are named after necessarily. I am saying that these 3 flash drives, which will help you crack open your PlayStation system, will help your PlayStation system play more games better. But without those,
do you know what's funny about that?
What is?
Your stream the other day, Heavy Waves, asked what our podcast was about, and I told him hardcore drugs. If he puts this on and skips a little bit, and we're literally talking about meth, he's at
the hour and 6 minute mark, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, at least AR didn't lead me wrong."
Didn't lie.
Yeah, that's a real thing. But yeah, that's what I don't know why they come from China. I think it's exclusively a Chinese product, and those are the 3 that they're called. And I believe that they're varying sizes and they have different ROMs on them. And those, I believe, it does not even use the onboard emulator. I believe it also imports its own emulator, which I think is a derivative of RetroArch, or RetroArch, however you prefer to say it. But yeah, the reason that I got it was because, firstly, I got mine for cheap. I got mine for $20, and I think they were going for like $80. And then there's a game on it, Shin Megami Tensei Revelations, I believe. And that game by itself, with a jewel case, is I think almost $300. And so I thought, well, okay, if I buy this, I'm legally buying that game as well. So if I need to tamper to make that game so I can play it, then I own everything I need to own in order for this to be a legal thing for me to do. So, and that's the reason I like Shin Megami Tensei, the old stuff too. So.
Just remember looking at that PS1 Mini and watching Tekken 3. It looks so slow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It drags.
What's happening here? It looked terrible.
Yeah.
Pointing.
So, do you have any of the minis?
No, I used to have the NES for a while. I haven't got it anymore.
Mm,
I enjoyed it, but like I just haven't got it right now.
sure.
Of all those old consoles, I just don't have them at the minute.
If I have to recommend, recommend a mini console, the one that I think that is the most well put together and the most fun to play and the most kind of true to life, I say that, but the most true to original, I guess the highest fidelity recreation of its old form, I would say, without a doubt, it's the official Sega Genesis Mini. Just insanely well done. The games play wonderfully. The controllers feel good. The UI is responsive. Like the NES and the SNES are fine. They play really, really well. But like the Sega is just so, and that's good too, because for the past like 6 or 7 years, these other third-party companies have been launching them, and they're just not good.
Yeah.
And then when Sega comes out with it, I think it honestly is better than the NES and the SNES and the PlayStation 1 Mini. It's so good.
Think there's ever going to be a N64 Mini that they've put the games on the Switch?
I didn't think so originally, because I didn't think it would be really a good idea to remake the controller, because like I figured people wouldn't want to buy it because they're going to spend $80 on the system, and then the controller's going to be wonky and they're not going to like that. But then they made the Switch N64 controller, and people are still buying it, and it's like $70 or $60, something like that, and which I believe there's a a monetary difference between you and I. So I believe that on whatever number I'm giving on your side of things, I believe it's technically slightly lower, but only slightly. So like $60 for the N64 controller, and it's still selling. Yeah, I think you could probably get away with making an N64 Mini and selling the whole thing for $60.
To be honest, I feel like Nintendo can get away with most things.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they got away with the Joy-Con. That's true. Like, well, just like they got away with the Joy-Con. They're got away with the Joy-Con drift thing. They just didn't want to fix it anymore. It was like, okay, well, your dual $80 drift Joy-Cons are drifting, and we're no longer gonna fix that. So I just bought Pro controllers. I'm like, all right, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I guess that reminds me, speaking of last thing in the controversy, how do you feel? I think this has been a super simple open and shut, but I still want to hear. What do you feel like Switch's, like their new N64 games plus Sega games online for everything else that you were spending $3 a month on, but now for $50-$60?
I don't look too much into it, but I do feel like, so I don't feel I've got like a full opinion on it because I haven't seen it much, but I do feel like it's a bit much. It's like what they're offering.
Are you a big, like, do you play? I feel like this is just an opinion. I may be wrong. I feel like that of the older consoles, you were probably a little bit more drawn to like the Sega Genesis because of things like Streets of Rage, and then maybe just kind of left the 64 and let it like play a couple of games on it.
I'm a huge 64 fan.
Are you really? Okay.
Mario 60, like Mario's my favorite character of all time, like still.
Okay, all right.
When it comes to Nintendo, I love Mario and Donkey Kong, and everything else. I've kind of realised that, like, nostalgia and love of Nintendo is all from the N64, pretty much. It's all like third-party exclusives, you know, like the old wrestling games.
Oh yeah.
And Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye. I've kind of realised lately that none of that's really associated with Nintendo anymore. I'm always waiting for them to like bring this stuff back, and I'm like, I kind of had like a realisation that they don't even own it. All my love of Nintendo is from that one console. Like I love SNES games and Super Mario World. I think that's the best Mario game.
Okay.
I like it more than 64 too.
Mm-hmm.
And on a bit of a thing here, but I love Nintendo. It's just the N64 is my favourite Nintendo console still, even with that controller. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do. I think it's fine.
So if you wouldn't plug a GameCube controller into it instead?
haven't touched the GameCube controller in so long. I'd need to hold it again because I remember liking it.
Okay.
Sure, I'd like it more than the N64. I don't know.
I mean, it's better than the 64 in some ways, but I didn't like the C nub very much. I just like, ugh. See, 64.
Those weird C buttons. Oh no, it's fucking N64. What was the one on the? I'm looking at the GameCube controller. 2 seconds.
It's okay.
Get it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of it's kind of dual analog as well. It's kind of almost like the prototype for the Xbox controller. I feel like. I mean, it couldn't have been the prototype.
At least Nintendo, I feel like they try and do different controllers for the years.
Yeah.
I remember this, but I don't think I liked it much. I'll be honest.
It's not my favorite. I mean, I guess I kind of like it better than the 64 controller just because I know where to grab it. But I love the 64 controller too. I still do. The C buttons never really bothered me, and it was just sometimes getting used to sometimes you had a game that I love Pilot Wing 64, and that game requires some insane precision in some areas, and I didn't feel like that controller was really geared well for that. But
you ever play Snowboard Kids?
Oh yeah, I own both of those. I own the first one in box. I freaking love those games.
I feel like I'm so alone with my love of that game. I feel like no one knows it, but I feel like it wasn't very big, and I don't even know who owns that anymore. But I feel like it could be so big on the Switch. Like
it's Atlas.
Brought it back.
Yeah, Atlas has it.
Okay.
And they still do. They still have they were the ones that made it originally. I remember Snowboard Kids was one of my first favorite.
Loved it.
So
good.
The music too. I enjoyed the music, honestly.
Yeah, the music's amazing.
So, but yeah, I used to go. I'd go out and rent that. I think I rented that probably 2, 3, maybe 3, 4 times. I couldn't afford it, but I'd go out and I'd rent it and just play through it for a weekend and then come back. And I don't think I ever. I mean, I'm sure that there's a story mode, but I think I just typically would race, or my brother would be there and I'd race him and stuff like that. But yeah, that game is so good. And then the first one did something I thought the second one took something out that I thought the first one did right, which was the power-ups. If you don't have enough coins to get the power-up, then if you're in the first one, if you hit the power-up but you don't have enough coins to afford the power-up, it's an obstacle. But in the second,
hit it and fall down.
Yeah, but in the second one you can go straight through it. So I don't know. I love those games. I really like those games. So,
shocked it was never brought back.
I know.
I feel like they do well.
It's yeah. I need to play those two. That's such a fun game. Those are both such fun games. See, I also really like. We're off on another tangent, but still, I'm enjoying.
Oh yeah, I haven't even answered about the online membership. I feel like it'd be a waste of money if you don't like Animal Crossing too. Because hasn't that got something involved? Just to go back to that real quick.
I think you get the DLC for it, but then like I said, you do get. I mean, with you being so this is, I guess, the definitive, because I think you would probably be the definitive, being such a big fan as you are of N64. Is you do get new backwards compatible, new control, upgraded N64 games. Does that make it worth it for you now?
Okay. But I'd say maybe, especially because I haven't got an N64 anymore. I still prefer having the actual consoles and the actual games over anything. Just don't have a lot of them anymore, like for any console.
Gotcha.
I mean, it depends on the games. Like, our Super Mario 64 is there, but a lot of that stuff that I remember's missing, like the wrestling games, and Banjo's there, isn't he? Banjo's there.
He's going to be. He's not there yet. I think he's coming.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Which
home.
But I just want to like, I love Banjo-Kazooie too, which I think Banjo-Kazooie, which is one of my favorite games for the 64.
Same.
I don't want to have to get the membership to get it. Just sell me the game, like $15, $20, whatever. Sell me the game. I'll buy it. We're done.
It's also what I don't like about these masters for GTA Trilogy. I mean, I don't even want to play them at all now.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't allowing you to buy them separately, unless obviously this Game Pass with San Andreas.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just buy Vice City, or they're not letting you do that, and I can't stand stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's forcing you to buy the whole thing to play one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with it. Well, and that's yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to better articulate that. I agree. That's just for me. Like I said, for the Switch's $50 membership, that's pretty cool. If I weren't already a retro collector, I do happen to still have my 64, and I still happen to have a lot of my games for it, and so it's not really a huge selling point for me. And then on top of that, they're doing, oh well, now you can get Sega games, and that's normally yet again same situation. I have my Sega CDX, and I have my Sega console, and my Sega cartridges, and they did make
They even sell the collection, don't they?
That's what I was gonna say.
Sega collection. I think that's also on the Switch too.
Yeah, and it's
buy.
It's 30 games. 30, like I think it's 30 plus Sega
really good
games.
Collection too.
Yeah,
some games on there.
It's missing I think they missed Sonic.
They're missing a few, yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know why, but I don't think they put Sonic 3 on there. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it's like Toe Jam and Earl 1 and 2, Sonic at least 1 and 2, Golden Axe, like Columns 1, 2, and 3, it's some pretty good games. Which I love Columns. The music of Columns 1 is one of my favorite soundtracks of that console.
While I do think it's a bit much, I can understand if you're just on the Switch and that's your main console and you play it constantly. I can kind of understand what people would find a lot of value in that.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm more of a PlayStation guy, especially nowadays. Like Nintendo and Xbox. Like I said, I've been looking for an Xbox. I'm mainly on PlayStation, so I'm not as familiar with stuff anymore on the other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there's value there for people who are on that console a lot.
So it's kind of the same way. Like you probably have PlayStation. What is it? Gold.
Yeah, Plus, PS Plus, isn't it?
Plus, that's right. So
also PS Now, which is like, let's be honest, a bad version of Game Pass. It just is.
Yeah, I just quick side. Yeah, kudos to Microsoft because Game Pass is actually really good, a really good deal.
Insane.
So, I mean, you get.
I think it's insane that Halo is going to be free too.
Oh,
the campaign's going to be on Game Pass. It's crazy.
Well, and they put Forza Motorsports 5. You may not be a racing fan, but for people that are racing fans, like that, those games are gorgeous. And Forza Motorsport 5 launches, boom, Game Pass. You can get it. It's like
insane.
Yeah, it's like Microsoft. There are some business practice things that I do not like that you've done, but Game Pass is not among them. Like, keep that up.
It's the thing. That's why I never understand these fanboys. It's like all of these companies do good, but they can all improve. So I don't get why people are like only following just one of them. They've all got these great games that they're to offer, and I've never understood this fanboy stuff of people just arguing over what box is better.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I'm weird the way that I do it. Like, I feel like that each console it's kind of like the elephant, right? You take a mouse to an elephant up close and you have it look it apart, and it says, oh, this is the ear, and another mouse looks at another part and says, oh, this is the tail, and another mouse looks at another part and says, oh, this is a toe. But they don't realize it's one whole cohesive thing until you pull them back. I think that's how it is. Like, for me, Microsoft or Xbox is typically best with, for me, if I were going to say definitive, I feel like the control and the control scheme and the way that they do things, especially with exclusives, Gears of War, Halo, I like it. I like them better for like the shooty games, the shoot, bang, bang.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to PlayStation. PlayStation has some really awesome exclusives, but their third-person action and some RPG and JRPG that they have are just second to none. And then migrate over to Nintendo. And in my opinion, Nintendo has some great, yet again, exclusives and IPs. But in addition to that, I think they do platforming just exceptionally well. So, like, and retro style. Like, I like the retro style better on Nintendo things, and that could be a bias. But like, so I feel like for me, it's always been not necessarily encouraging everyone to do it, but like, I've always felt like it was worth it for me to have them all. So I can play my Mario games, my platformers, and I can play my shooters, and I can play my God of War Ragnaroks, and all the other third-person awesomeness. It's just I like all of them. I like them for different reasons. I boo when they make bad decisions. I cheer when they make good decisions. I don't really care.
They all offer good stuff, and you can afford it. There's no reason not to buy them all because they all offer different things. I've never understood these people. I scroll sometimes and you see these people just arguing on Twitter just to someone they don't even know, and then I just click mute and then carry on moving by.
Yep.
It's like, what's happening? Just go and play these games you're arguing over. Spend all this time winning about stuff instead of playing what they're fighting against or fighting for. Strange.
That's true. All right, so speaking of ruffling feathers, right, or of feathers ruffled, we did make mention we wanted to do an unpopular gaming opinion.
No.
And I'd like to hear what your unpopular gaming opinion is and why.
I feel like you might know mine quite obvious, but I also actually want to give it another chance, and that's Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I've heard you say some things about it.
Just I don't understand this obsession with this game, and I feel like a lot of people act as though it's the first open world game ever made. Like everything has to be compared to Breath of the Wild nowadays. I'm hearing people compare Elden Ring to Breath of the Wild. I'm
really?
like, what's happening just because it's in an open world? Like, it's the overhype of like. I know. I also don't think it's a very good Zelda game. Like, just to put it bluntly.
Okay.
It's just plopping Zelda in this fucking world. Then see, I'm going just one after the other here, and I don't want to like speed up and put myself. I don't understand the tens, and I've heard some people say it's an 11 out of 10. Like, seriously.
Really?
I don't understand it. Do you like that game, by the way?
Yeah, no. I mean, Breath of the Wild is my favorite installment of the Red Dead Redemption franchise.
It really?
It's no, it's okay. Like I agree with you that it is way overhyped, and I agree with you that it's way overrated. Like for me, I do personally think it's an okay game. I also agree with you. I don't particularly care for it as a Zelda game. Like Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game. So
that's correct.
That's the correct answer.
Correct.
but no, I'm with you on it. I don't necessarily know that I think that it's that I have as much dislike for it as you do, but I do agree. Like,
here's the thing. I genuinely don't think it's bad.
Okay.
It's clearly not a bad, poorly made game. Like, obviously, just by looking at it and in it for whatever amount of time, it's not a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
I've just never understood the praise it gets, and now it's just every game after it's just compared to it. I just don't get it. I don't get why people think that way for it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't. Okay, so I know this is a flawed system, but just really quickly, like, you had to give that from what you know now, not necessarily from your replay, but like, you give that game a score on a scale of 1 to 10. What is it for you?
Will everyone hate me based on our first episode? Determines it, I think.
I hope not.
Like, fucking get rid of that English guy. He's terrible.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, you have the right to have your opinions to games too.
I don't. I'd honestly probably give it a 6.
Yeah. Okay. That's not far. It's not far from where I'd put it.
Genuinely want to give it another shot. Like, I didn't just play it for 5 minutes and then throw it away and be like, that game's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a good chance. I played a good chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't enjoy my time with it. Every other game that game gets compared to, I like more.
Yeah.
I know that's a really unpopular opinion. Like, Mortals, you know that game that came out that everyone was like, it's a Zelda ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's way better than Breath of the Wild.
Wait a minute. Which?
I think I'd give it about a 6.
Wait, which game that you were saying?
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Oh, okay. That's I said you said that, and I don't know why. I was thinking Darksiders. So I don't know if I've played Immortals.
That Immortals game, it does have somewhat of a generic look.
Okay.
And you can tell it is influenced by Breath of the Wild. It's not. You have to be stupid not to see that. It's like, I feel like people wrote that game off as soon as they saw it and didn't give it a chance.
Okay.
That's a thing that annoys me when it comes to these overhyped games. Is I feel like when a game comes out that has similarities, people write it off instantly because it's not their game. It's not like Breath of the Wild for them, so they're like, "Oh, that's not good."
Right.
I'm always just like, just give it a chance. Like, you can like multiple games in the same genre. It's not a crime.
But,
I mean?
But you can't. Because you're.
You're not allowed.
It's different than my opinion. You can't do that.
How dare you?
I mean, I didn't really play Immortals, not because I wrote it off. I was aware of it, but only briefly. And now that you're saying it, I'm like, that's what brought it back up to mind. Every time I had heard a Zelda ripoff, and yet again, these predate Breath of the Wild. It was always Darksiders, and I like Darksiders. I think
Darksiders is great.
I haven't really played Genesis, but 1 through 3 I really think are pretty cool. So.
Like Zelda too. Like I think the old games are great. Like you said, Link to the Past. I love Ocarina of Time. The original Zelda I really like a lot.
Yeah.
I'd like Zelda as a franchise. I just don't Breath of the Wild as much as everyone else.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think me personally, I wouldn't put it too much higher. I'd put it at about a 7.5. It's definitely an above average game. I think that.
Hate weapon durability. Can't stand it.
That's
the worst game mechanic ever invented.
Yes.
So that doesn't help things either.
Well, I think it's Lord of the Rings the game also. There's a lot of walking and not really doing anything.
Lord of the Rings the game, yeah.
Yeah. I've never, another unpopular, I've never seen the Lord of the Rings movies. I've read the books, but I've never seen.
Oh God, that's crazy.
Never seen the movies. My wife is trying to get me to do it, but I have read the books, and the books.
Into that kind of stuff, like the fantasy kind of editing and stuff. Do you like stuff like that?
I do, but yet again, it always flows back to Star Wars. Like Star Wars to me hit just a key that did it so right. Okay, I don't want to go off on a huge tangent, but like
back to Star Wars.
Just to throw this in there, yeah, back to Star Wars for just a second. Like the thing that made I think the thing that makes fantasy appealing for your average person, and this is like, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, any of that, is the fantastical. Like, we live in a world of science and books and knowledge and all this stuff that we know we can and can't do, and then this breaks that by saying, oh, fantasy. When you get into a fantasy world, it's kind of the flip of that. Like, science is really anathema, and you're really just talking about, it's really like the magic and the, like Skyrim. Everybody accepts that you can throw a fireball. Like, the only guy that doesn't accept that want to accept the fact that you can throw a fireball is the guy you just set on fire with the fireball. And he's kind of forced to accept it. And so, like, that's kind of the cool thing. Star Wars is like, but that's all accepted. Star Wars is the opposite. It is the exact same as our world amplified. So it's like, in a world of science where we have all of the technological engineering answers to every problem you could think, including space travel, how to supersede, how to subvert, I don't even know if that would be the right word. Just you have the answers to things we don't even have the answers to now, right? How to safely travel in space, how to make a wearable, fashionable helmet that also functions as a oxygen mask rebreather, and these laser swords and all this. So you have a world of science and technology where all the answers are, and yet there's this one little facet that nobody really believes in. Some people practice it, but no one really knows about it. It's that spiritual whatever. And I was like, I don't know. There's something, I don't know. Maybe I over romanticize it, but there's just something about having all of the science to have all of the answers and still having some level of like spiritual something. Not specifically religious, just something that is unexplained by ones and zeros. I don't know. That may sound really weird, but that's kind of what appeals to me in that. Whereas other fantasy, it's like everybody just kind of accepts that you're in a world where everybody just accepts that some people can do magic, and that's a thing, and like half the people can do, like a third of the people can do magic because they're elven, and like half of the humans can do magic, and then half the humans can't, and then dwarves can't do magic, but they're good at making stuff, It's like, I don't know. I know that's weird, but that's me. That's part of the reason that I kind of jumped down the hole so far. But
yeah, Breath of the Wild's not very good. It's fine.
I love your punctuation to my tangent. Oh man. Yeah. So, can I? Do you mind if I add?
It's Lord of the Rings, man. You're missing out with Lord of the Rings.
I'm gonna watch Lord of the Rings. I promise that. It's just such a time-consuming like.
You can leave The Hobbit and the sequels it got. You don't need to watch them.
Okay, but just watch Just watch the main trilogy. It's like 10. It's like 9 or 10 hours. So it's just so much time, but it's worth it.
It is long.
But yeah. So I think mine. If I can offer an unpopular opinion, mine I also think I've spoken about at least briefly, and it's for similar reasons to what I've said earlier about some of the things I'm unhappy about or potentially concerned about. Is I don't, and I had this argument with a friend the other day as well. I'm not the largest fan of The Last of Us 2. I think the game looks pretty. I think some of the characters are good. I think the gameplay is okay. They didn't really do anything that revolutionized the gameplay. It's just the same kind of gameplay as you got in The Last of Us 1, but that's okay. But I feel like that the story fell really flat, and they expected you to care about characters that I don't feel like you should really care about or have cared about. And I feel like that the writing was done in such a way that it was meant to be, yet again, this kind of inclusive thing where they wanted to put a certain agenda in the topic and then write the characters around it, versus writing the characters and then that particular thing happening just to be a feature of those characters. So I felt like some of the stuff was really good, and I felt like some of the scenes were really great, and they conveyed a really nice and sweet point, and then I felt like some of it was very heavy-handed and partially preachy. I felt like they wanted me to feel sympathetic towards who I believe to be a fairly irredeemable and evil protagonist, and yet that protagonist is someone that you're expected to care about. And I
pushed into it. It's like they just force it on you to like her.
Yeah.
Like this character, and you're like, no, I don't like her.
I didn't. Like, it was, I don't want to spoil anything. Like, I understood her reason for doing an awful thing or two, but like, she was just an awful person the whole way through, and there I didn't think there was much reason. So I don't like The Last of Us 2 in my opinion, in terms of graphics and in terms of sound design and in terms of gameplay. Sure, it's a 5, but in terms of story, it's average is what I mean by that. Graphically, probably even a little bit more impressive, but just story-wise, I did not like it. I didn't think it was. I felt like it was heavy-handed in areas it shouldn't have been.
Agree. There's much discussion here. I actually agree with you on this one. I really like the first game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I actually completed it like 4 or 5 times. I don't even like it that much anymore. I don't know what was wrong with me at the time, why I was playing it so much. I do like the game, and I like it with the story too. In 2,
mm-hmm.
I feel like they almost made you dislike Ellie.
Yes.
Without going into details, and it's like this character that you liked, this really likable character in the first game, just making her do this stuff or taking her on this path that you just like, what's happening? It's like she just becomes, everyone's like dislikable in that game by the end, and I just don't care.
Right.
It's this miserable experience by the end, and I'm like, fucking hell, I'll play some Nintendo or something. Pressed.
No, it's exactly right. Like that's exactly it. Like in the first one, I thought Ellie and I'm trying to. Yes, but the way that they set up the first story, where like with I don't know if this is probably not a spoiler. This is old enough, right?
Last of Us 1's.
Well, yeah. The way that they set it up, like at the very beginning with his daughter, like, that just tugs at your heartstrings. And now you understand why he's got this. He's kind of jaded, and he's kind of not excited, or he's kind of reluctant to have this little girl with him, and he's kind of hardened. He's not really all that happy about things, and they have this really good like grumpy old man to naive young girl chemistry, which I think is great. And like she's a great character. She's also really good. She's teaching him things about himself, and he's becoming a better person because of it. But she's also not a great person because she's still learning how to be a person, and like, that's also good. And then the second one is just not. She becomes everything that she was against in the first one. I was like, So, and they didn't give Joel a great treatment either. Yet again, not spoiling anything.
Definitely not a good thing with Joel.
No.
You're right about it. Like, technically, the game's incredible. The detail and just, graphically and all that for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the story, the character, everything about, I just didn't care. I know about everything that happens, but I fell off that game about 11 hours in. So I couldn't play anymore. I was like, I've had enough. I wasn't enjoying myself, and it was just miserable. And I wasn't liking characters that I liked in the first one. They were just changing them or putting them in a direction where I just didn't care, and then forcing new characters on me that I really didn't care about. Now you've got to look at this person for so long, and it's like, I just don't want to play it.
No, I agree. I agree completely. It's just, I know that's an unpopular opinion, but same thing. I wouldn't ask you to do it if I didn't. But like, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, if I take the technical into effect, I'd probably say 5.5 to 6. If I don't take the technical into effect, I'm going based off of the story. I would give it a below average score. I'd have to give it 3.5, 4, something like that. It's, as a game from the technical perspective, it's great. It plays well, but as far as the story goes, I was so disinterested and detached, and even in some areas, not even necessarily where there was disinterest, but just in areas just so angry at characters for so many reasons, and it was like, but yeah, it's, so I guess what we'll do, because we're coming up against kind of what I expected to be the time of the podcast, is ask one more question, kind of segue, and I think that'll fill up the rest of the segment, if that's okay with you.
That's fine, yeah.
We've done a lot of griping and bickering and talking about, which I think has been really good, because we're being candid with people and saying, look, it's not all, it may not be all sunshine and rainbows. Huh?
Every podcast will be me hating on For the Wild or Overshadow, even though I actually love that game. But
no, it's like I said, no, not a problem. I like the fact that we're in an area in a format where we can share opinions that and that are different and because I feel like that reviewers kind of are the opposite. Like they get paid to play, so they're jaded. So if a good game may get a bad review, or also the consumers, right? The consumers are like, 7's a bad game, and you're like, 5 kind of means average. It's right in the middle, and then so like
yeah,
7's
not bad.
Yeah, 6 is above average, and 7's quite a bit above average, and 8 is just flat out really good, and 9 is great, and 10 is perfect. That's kind of my thing.
I feel like most reviewers now have just the same voice. They're all the exact same voice, same opinion. And the way they word things is the same.
Yep.
Especially from these big websites, like the big ones. Individual reviewers that better. Like, I like someone called ACG.
Oh,
if you've seen him before.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I love the way he does reviews, and he's honest, and even when I don't agree with him, I understand where he's coming from with what he's saying.
Sure.
I feel like with like bigger sites, it's just identical wording and everything's the same, and then sometimes they'll praise a game for 5 minutes and then give it a 6. It's like, what's
Yep.
no negatives, and then it's like 6 out of 10. You're like, what happened there? It's weird, like,
Yep.
formula of it's so strange. I don't know.
Yep. IGN. We're gonna give it a.
Exactly. I wasn't gonna name names, but yeah.
I'm sorry. That's my big one. Like, I know. Can I name names? Is that okay, or do you want me to? Not.
Oh, no, no, name names. That's fine.
Don't name names.
No, you can name away.
I was gonna say, we're like, tune in to next episode to hear me rant on about IGN and AR to rant on about Kotaku.
God, get me started. We'll need another 2 hours on them.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I'll add fuel to the fire because I'm not a fan. But I agree. Like, I've seen that. Like, I was watching a review the other day too. I was listening to it, or no, I was watching the review, but I watched the review and they were talking about, oh, this is so great and it's so great and it's so great, and the game came back up and it's 7.5, and I'm like, okay, I see the pros, and then they went to cons, and it was like, I think it was like some wonkiness with the like some bugginess, and I'm like, that some bugginess and you docked it 2.5 points. Like, why? Those are either some really big bugs, or you didn't mean what you said about the pros, right? Like
I feel like they're so robotic too. Like, you pick like 8 different reviews from these websites, and they all say the exact same stuff, and then it like feels like this game, and then it does this, and it's like it's literally like the same script for like 8 different sites.
Yeah.
So I find it so strange.
No, I agree. I just like, yeah, it frustrates. Like, I'm like, I get it. A 7's a good game. 7.5 is a good score. But like, you made it seem like it was an 8 or 9 out of 10. Give it a score that's in line with at least the 3 paragraphs of review you just gave. This game is a near perfect game. 6 out of 5. You know, some ridiculous. But like,
I feel like there's maybe like, not to go on it for too long. I feel like there's maybe too many voices too at these sites. IGN, I feel like they have so many different voices, and it's just all jumbled up, and no one can really find their own voice.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, unique. Like, whereas like someone like ACG or a channel on its own, it's their own voice, and they're like the only reviewer on that channel.
Yep.
I feel like it's just more clear when you see reviews like that from one person. I feel like IGN, they just throw any game at any reviewer and be like, review that, you got like a weekend. However they do it.
Well, and I think that as a team, they probably have things to try and eliminate bias. Like, and I get that, but I don't at the same time. Like, if I play a game and I really like it and I put it out there, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like that game. That's always going to be the case. Doesn't matter how good the game is.
Always going to be someone who likes Breath of the Wild.
Exactly. There's always going to be someone who thinks
thousands, millions of people, and I'm sitting there on my own.
I just imagine this artwork of this, of the people over people, and you just kind of in this corner, hunched over a controller, looking back grumpily at the other people, like, I still don't like.
Sitting there holding Immortals Phoenix Rising, trying to recommend it to people.
That's awesome.
Playing Breath of the Wild.
I feel like there should be a comic strip of that. I think that would actually do really well. He's good. Yeah, no, but like I think that like there's no matter who reviews the game, there's always going to be some bias. I think there should be, at least, because like you're going to play the games that you like and the games that I like may not always be the same. They may not always line up. Yeah, I'm an old school retro guy, and you seem to be more. You seem to have definitely some retro, but you seem to like to play the fighting games and such. I'm not very good at them. So like that's the take that I kind of get. Whereas, but like at the same time, I think that bias is fine. Hey, look, this is a great game. Granted, if you're not an RPG player, you're probably not going to like that. That's a given.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, same situation with Breath of the Wild. Like, oh, this is a great open world game. If you like open world games that you have to walk a lot, have weapons that break on you and stuff like that, like if you're okay with that, if you want the inventory management of Resident Evil mixed in with the walking plot and story of Lord of the Rings, and the occasional character reference from Zelda, cool.
If you want to climb a rock and see a circle slowly deplete, you'll like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, if you'd like to climb the same rock 3 or 4 times before you figure out that your stamina's not big enough to make it up there. Yeah, exactly. That's my thing. Is I think a lot of the companies try to coach the bias out, and that's why the review says, it's like, oh no, you can't be biased. This is objectively. No, you can't be objective. You are reviewing a game.
Exactly.
Just tell people, did you have fun while you were playing it or not? And then right in there, it's one extra sentence. Hey, if you really like racing games, this is a great racing game, or this is a great RPG, or But I don't know. But I feel like that we've ranted and we've raved and all this, and I don't think it's
ranted a bit. Don't worry, guys. It won't always be like this.
No, not at all. But I kind of wanted to see if we could put our last topic on a positive note, which are kind of maybe adoring and recommending games that are as close to perfect as we think they can get, or at least as far as we've seen so far. What is that game for you, and why?
Is as close to being perfect.
I mean, we know perfect doesn't exist. It's just, but like, to you, if you recommended a game and you said, look, 9 out of 10 people that I recommend this to will probably also like it, like, what would that game be?
For me, it's probably Shovel Knight. Honest.
Oh, Shovel Knight's great.
Oh, I don't have a single fault with that game.
Really?
No, I don't have a fault. I don't want to say perfect because I do agree that nothing's perfect, like no game. But I've been trying to think, do I dislike about that game, and it doesn't exist.
You can accidentally
I'm
break the
obsessed with
checkpoint.
that game still. I can put that on at any time and just play it and never get bored. I feel like the gameplay is so tight and just responsive. I think it's one of the best platformers ever. Top 3 for me.
It is absolutely well. And the music too. What is it? Is it?
Music's incredible.
Jake Kaufman, was that he the one that did that?
And there's a few people that do the on that game.
I can't. But like, I agree with you. But okay, I can pick one gripe. One gripe.
Shovel Knight, okay.
Yeah, Shovel Knight. One gripe.
I agree. You might like
I
my memory, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's true.
I accidentally break the checkpoint sometimes because I'm shovel bouncing.
Yeah, okay.
It's not its fault. It's mine. Shovel Knight's a great recommendation. That's
I
awesome.
feel like it takes from, obviously inspired by NES style games, isn't it? Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it takes from all the best ones, but leaves out the bad.
Yeah.
There's so many elements from different games in that game, but it does it right. It doesn't just copy it and then it doesn't just steal from it and then try and copy that game directly. It's like it's its own thing. You can tell specifically which games. Mega Man, there's the Castlevania things in there, there's Mario, like the overworld and the map. That's straight out of Mario 3. The same thing. I feel like it does it well and it takes all the best from the NES, and I think that's why it's so good. Just love the bosses, and I love that game.
I love the little. I also love. I mean, like I said, I agree with you. I hadn't thought of that in this particular category, but I would agree. I mean, I may have a gripe here or there. I do think that that's probably my fault, but at the same time, that's a good game recommend. I love the little rats with propellers. Those are like my favorite little antagonists. Just float up there, and be like, hey. Always feel bad about bouncing off of them. I'm like, they weren't hurting anybody.
Like the challenge of the game is fair too. Like with some of these NES games, and I like hard games and like difficult games. Sometimes I feel like it can be very fun. That game does it really well of that it's not insane, like trying to be this literal NES game that's just insane without any checkpoints or saves. I like the risk of you can break the checkpoints if you want. A bit more challenge, or you can leave it. I feel like it would have been poorly designed if they were already broken and then you have to start from the start again.
Yep,
I feel like they've done a really good job of like balancing the difficulty in that game. I don't think it's a hard game at all. I think some people actually think it leans on the easier side, but I just think it's great. I don't have a fault with it. I can't find one.
Well, and they do, to be fair too, I said the breaking the checkpoint. I do accidentally break the checkpoint. I know you have to bounce on it 3 times, but that's not a hard thing to
accidentally break it 3 times in a row.
I'm coming from DuckTales where I don't auto pogo, but I constantly had my thumb on the pogo, the D-pad and the pogo button, so I'll pogo around as much as I can in that game. But you do get, I mean, to be fair, if you break the checkpoint, you do get treasure, which helps increase your overall
the risk reward.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking to say. So they did a good job of even making sure that a thing that might frustrate you has something good to give you. So
I think the game's like incredible. That is a 10 for me, Shovel Knight.
Did you like
personally? That's a 10 out of 10.
Did you like the DLCs, not the DLCs, but yeah, kind of the DLCs where you can?
I enjoyed them all. I don't think none of them are as good as the base game. I think they're all good. I think is it Spectre Knight? That was my favourite, which was, I feel like it was closer to Castlevania.
Yes.
Castlevania kind. I haven't finished the King Knight one. I know the levels are much shorter, but I like the gameplay loop and how he plays. I just haven't got around to finishing it yet. I do like them all.
Nice. Spectre Knight was also my favorite, just because it is absolutely more that Castlevania feel. Also, I like the jump slash mechanic where he can hit those orbs and.
A horror guy too, so like he's like the closest thing to like a spooky kind of horror character.
Yep.
I gravitate towards him. I was like, that's my favourite boss.
Same. I feel like mine's gonna be. I feel like if I offer, because that's a really good answer. I feel like mine's gonna be a little bit flip flop, and I also feel like mine's gonna add controversy, but I don't feel like it should. So me being a retro guy most of the time, I did play and have played all the way through The Witcher 3.
Okay.
All the DLC for The Witcher 3 as well. And from the time that I bought the game, the way that they rolled it out, the way that they rolled out the DLC, what the DLC offered, what they charged, all of these different little factors, including the game itself, like this was the white glove experience for me. You bought The Witcher 3, you could get the collector's edition if you wanted to. I did get the collector's edition, came with the Witcher's medallion, came with maps and books and polystone statue of him on a giant.
That's a good collector's edition. There's like a lot there.
It's so good. And the statue's like it's heavy. It's not like a plastic like, oh okay. No, it's heavy.
They put some effort into it.
Yeah. And so all of that, you got the soundtrack. No matter what version of The Witcher you bought, you got the soundtrack. No matter what version of The Witcher you bought, you also got a steelbook case. But if you got the collector's edition, you got a different steelbook case as well. They gave you CD Projekt Red stuff in there. They gave you a digital strategy guide, which came with the game. They gave you Witcher stickers, which I actually have on the back of my MacBook to cover my Apple logo for on-camera stuff, because I'm not sponsored by anybody, but like that's my. So they did that, and then you jump into the game, and the game is awesome. It came out in May of 2015. Game's amazing. I'm not saying that somebody may not have had a bug here or there. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but like the story is awesome. The character is great. The lore is established well. The way the side quests, the multitudinous random side quests, and every one of them feels substantial. Like you can go and find a random lady and she's screaming about something, and it's not just, oh, go bring my boy back to me. Okay, thank you for bringing my boy. Here's 20 gold. It's never that. It's like a lady, like for example, there was a lady that she was afraid to go into her house, and then she's asking what's going on. She's afraid. She doesn't want to go in there. She's afraid she'll be attacked. You go inside of her house. You find that her pot has been scraped clean because the burglar wanted the soot from the pot, and he was making ink with the soot. And he was murdered by something else, which was he was trying to write a note to warn about before that happened, and he just happened to break into her house. And then that all leads into a quest that leads into a quest that leads into a quest, and the rewards you get for each of those quests build into the way that you're prepared for your main story quest. So the things you learn and the things you get from those little innocuous side quests you could just have left alone, and you're not told, by the way, in the main story to go do those. You just either encounter them or you don't. Just depends on how much exploring you want to do. Builds into how effective you are later on in the game, like how you are able to do XYZ. It's just so good. It's so well done. The music is amazing. It's they did a traditional folk style. It's done by Marcin Presbulikwitz. It's just so it sounds great. They did and then they did the whole game. I played the whole game. I was super excited. Loved it. Loved everything. I felt for the characters they wanted me to feel for. I hated the characters they wanted me to hate. Like, they did a great job establishing those characters. How they're voiced over, how they're acted and presented and everything. It's just like a great movie. And then I passed it, and I was a little sad. And they said, oh, we're going to come out with DLC. And I'm a little bit roll my eyes a little bit. And the DLC they came out with was 30 hours of DLC. 10 hours called Hearts of Stone. 20 hours called Blood and Wine. And just continuation of the story, but new, really dynamic stuff. It still ties into the main story. How your quest ended is all tied in. It's not, if you failed to do something before, that could come back and bite you in the DLC. It won't end your game. It won't end your run. But it's great. They gave away Gwent decks, which Gwent was brought in from that. They actually gave away real Gwent decks with the DLC. So when you bought the DLC, you could buy it for like $10 and you'd get 30 hours or something. And then if you bought the $20 big versions, you got these full-fledged Gwent decks so you could play, which of course I did that. And then on top of all of that, you also have I'm trying to think of how to say it. Like, there's never it is a level up game, but there's never a need to grind. Like, the way the game is designed. I was fighting a creature in one of the DLCs, and I had a couple of options. I kept dying. I had a couple of options. I could go out and I could grind if I wanted to and level up, I didn't. I went back and I looked for a couple of ingredients, which took me much less time. And I made a concoction that I could rub on my blade, which they were weak to, and a potion that I could drink, which made me stronger. I tried it again. Didn't make it. Okay, another oil, stronger potions, another potion on top of that. Now I beat him. Like, you never have to grind. You can solve the puzzle with... It's just, I love that game. I would recommend it to anybody. I've played it several times. I have it on Switch. I have it on PlayStation. I have it on Xbox. It's kind of my new KOTOR. It's not my favorite game because there's some emotional stuff with KOTOR, but that went in with me. But I don't know what else they could do to make this game more immersive and more playable and more accessible and more just, I don't know. So that's, if I have to give a 10, perfect, not existing, near perfect, that's my 10.
Yeah, they give it a 10. I actually didn't like The Witcher 3 when I first played it.
Okay. I see how this is good. This is where the conflict comes in now.
I do like it. I do like the game. When I first played it, whatever reason, I dropped off it. I couldn't get into it. The way it played, and because when it first came out, I think I got it when it launched. Like 2015, wasn't it? Did you say?
Yeah, it was like May of 15.
I think there were just other games at the time too that I was much more interested in. Like, I'm sure there was a Batman game came out that year too. A huge fan of those Arkham games. So I think there was stuff that blew me away from it, and I just left it. I was like, I'm not into this. Like, I played one or two because I don't care. And then I came back to it like probably sometime in 2016. It was like a good chunk. Like, it was like a year after, and I was hooked.
Oh, good. Okay.
I don't know what happened. Sometimes my girlfriend loves that game, and I'll tell her it's like a bit overhyped, but don't actually think that. But don't tell anyone.
It's
do it to wind her up and annoy her.
I can't let her know. It's just so.
But I'm sorry.
No. I go ahead.
I don't know why it didn't click with me the first time. I just got hooked and I played through the whole thing. I've never played the DLC. I did buy one of them. I think it was the shorter one.
Okay. Heart of Stone.
Do you know which one that is? Heart of Stone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never played it, but I've been wanting to play it again lately. I don't know why. It's funny that you brought that up, because Witcher's been in my head for whatever reason.
It's so good.
Yeah, I've like, long story short, I did have a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. Whatever reason, I don't know if I was in a terrible place or mood. I was like, this game when I first played it, it's terrible. I did literally flip on it, and I enjoyed it a lot. You can understand why people were so excited for Cyberpunk, in my opinion, with that developer.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
Because of the amount of, like, the value of Witcher 3 and how much is in there. Like, how good of a package that was overall. And people spend, like, hundreds of hours in that game. Like, it's their game, isn't it? Like, a lot of people, that's their favourite game of all time.
Oh yeah, it's.
I can understand when what's the name of the developer? CD Projekt Red, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They announce a new sci-fi open world game. I can understand why there's hype.
Yeah.
Like, all I'm trying to get to is I get why people were so excited for Cyberpunk, even without really seeing anything, because of their last game had so much value and content, and the DLCs just made other games terrible in comparison. They offered.
Yeah,
the overall package was really good.
I think that I am one of the like, I didn't play it on the older systems. I am one that did like Cyberpunk, and I do. But I get why people didn't. I also think, and this would be a whole other topic, I'm sure. But I also think that there was a lot of pressure on the creator. There was a lot of fan pressure, and there was a lot of there's also a lot of expectation because of how well The Witcher 3 was received versus how much hype had been put on Cyberpunk already, and how much better they wanted to make this game than their previous. So I think that was a lot of factors. But all in all, I like CD Projekt Red. I'd love to talk more about them and their initiatives in general. Just there's so many good things that they're involved in that are. They own GOG. That's a big deal for me. But
do you like the first two games?
The Witcher games?
Do you like those?
Yeah, so the first
Never
one,
played them.
I mean they're and going from 3 back is a little tough too. Like one's really good. It follows the first book. I don't know. I like to read, so I'm kind of a nerd in that regard. But I have the Witcher books, and I love the Witcher books. And the first one kind of follows, especially the cinematic. The opening cinematic actually follows an event that happens in the first book, and the way that he's described, Geralt is described in terms of like how his sword play and stuff works. It's even more flowy than it is in like 2 and 3. It's more lightsabery and meets kind of this wushu sword style. I think that's what the proper name for it is. But anyway, it's a lot more like that. And then you can also switch between like modes. You're from the School of the Wolf, but you can also switch from the School of the Wolf to the fighting style of the School of the Griffin to the School of the Cat, which is the fast versus the strong versus the balanced. And like there's some really cool things there. The second one, in my opinion, is great, but it's way the inventory, like it's just so hard to navigate, so much harder to navigate than it needs to be. But the story is amazing. So 3 just kind of took everything that was good about the other 2 and wrapped it up in a nice little bow and said, hey, here you guys go, and also 30 hours of awesome DLC with some of the coolest characters out there too. I mean, you meet, like, that was my thing. I was nerding out in one of the DLCs because you meet a character, and yet again, this is an old game. I'll name him. I don't think anybody will know it. Regis, you meet him. And this is a big character from the books. Like, everybody in the books that reads about Regis loves Regis. You get to meet him. Like, you get to meet him and talk with him and be friends with him in the game, and it's so cool. So, I don't know. I have a little bit of a bias, I understand, because of the book stuff, but all in all, I still think if I hadn't read any of the books, knew nothing about it, I think I would still be a tremendous fan. I think.
So you read the books before you played the games?
Yes. Yeah.
So I can understand why there's an attachment there, especially with what you just said with the characters and that.
Oh,
I can understand why it has a bigger impact on people too. If you these books and you love them, and then this character shows up in this game, and like, I can understand why it's so like appealing.
It's fun. It's the same thing that I think about Lord of the Rings and I don't know the movies yet, but the books, right? The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, The Witcher. There's a lot of the world that you don't get when you're in the movies or in the games. So it's really fun when you come back to the games and they put those little tidbits in about the books. And so like Regis was one of those big ones for me in the books. He's such a fun character and such a nice and cool character. And to see him fully fleshed out and voice acted and you getting to interact and speak with him was super cool. It was just so nice. So, but I got to ask one last time, yet again, this is just for my own record in this case, though. That's my 10 out of 10. What do you think of it? Like, where did you put it on your scale since you came in back saying,
What would I give you?
I'm sorry?
I don't know what I would give you. A 5. No, I'm joking.
Average. Okay.
For me, it'd probably be an 8.
Okay, that's
honestly,
that's solid.
I can understand why people put it higher. I'm also, besides Lord of the Rings, funnily enough, I'm also not a big fan of like setting. Do you know what I mean? The fantasy kind of thing with all the dragons and all. I'm much more of a sci-fi fan.
Okay, that's fair.
Besides Lord of the Rings, like that's the one exception for me. But I can understand why, especially if you're into that setting and it's like a 10 out of 10 game. And in terms of like how much content's there and value, it's just a really good overall like package.
Oh yeah, no, I
understand why.
I enjoy and they said something about originally when it was being teased Cyberpunk and such. They were talking about taking Witcher 3 characters and having them in Cyberpunk, and it wasn't going to be like a crossover. It was going to be a. Did you pass Witcher 3? Did you say?
Yeah, I did.
So you're aware of. I don't want to. Yet again, I'm not going to spoil specifics, but I'm just going to kind of speak in light code here. But you remember a series.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they were talking about that, where it's kind of feasible.
Would have been really cool.
I would have been solid. But well, I mean, I feel like that we're at about the 2 hour 5 minute mark or so. So I think
Is
that's
this really?
Yeah, I think if we mark that out, we're at 2,950 right now, so we have to cut out some of the first there, so 2.5-ish. I think that's probably a good length for a digestible podcast. What do you think?
That's cool.
So is it all right if
Went
we...
longer than I expected.
Well, I had fun. I had a ton of fun actually, talking with you and hashing through some of this stuff. So, but if you'd like, what are we expecting? Do you know what we're kind of expecting to talk about next time?
Is this not right now?
I think we talked.
We will have a guest on.
Yeah.
See what happens, you know.
Yeah, I think we talked about next time trying to get a guest on, and we also talked kind of and I could be wrong on this, but we talked about maybe talking about next time guilty pleasures that we have, games that were rated horribly that we actually really enjoy.
A few.
I think we also talked about a little bit today about remakes, but I think we talked about like maybe talking about specific remakes that we would really highly recommend and ones to maybe avoid in the future that have come out over the past 10 years. So we might be looking at that as well, just depending on what you think of that. But yeah.
To get the first episode of the way with like the two of us to get the like foundation, and then hopefully we'll have some guests in the.
That was the idea. We'd certainly like to feature some people with other opinions as well, though. I imagine we'll probably have a few more arguments. It seems like we agree on a lot more than we disagree on, but I don't imagine that'll always be the case.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, I'd like to say thank you to AR for being willing to sit down and talk with me on this first episode of podcast.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate it.
Fun.
And also thank you to everybody who comes in and listens to this. Of course, we're going to be uploading after the fact, but thank you so much for anybody who decides that they want to sit down and listen to this, or potentially subscribe to the channel, or even comment down below and let us know what you think about some of the stuff we've talked about. That's always a great thing. But that's what I'd have to say. If you'd like to, and if I may, you're always welcome also to see some of my content, which typically is retro-centric, at the Retro Room. It's a place to just kind of play retro games, chill, have fun, offer opinion, and do your thing. And what about you, Mr. AR?
I'm also over on AR Games. I'm slacking a little bit lately, but I'll be back with a new review hopefully this week. I won't say what game, but doing some reviews, and I'll be starting a new playthrough too. Well, I won't say what game that is either. I'll just keep everyone keep quiet about everything. Just come and watch my stuff
in the dark.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. All right.
Well, like it, you might not.
I'm not going to say anything.
Be honest.
I don't want to potentially spoil anything, but I think it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it too.
Come on.
So, but yeah, until next time though, you'll hopefully catch us both here at the same place on Press Restart.